So dear friends, in this video we are going to discuss the important sulci and gyri of cerebrum. Okay, so this is the cerebrum. This is divided into two hemispheres by a medial longitudinal fissure. Okay, so this is the medial longitudinal fissure. So we cut this and dividing this into two halves. Okay, so here what you see, the front, this is called as the frontal pole. At the back, what you see, this is called the occipital pole, and here this is the temporal pole. Okay, so now let us discuss look at the specimen and taken into two halves. Okay, so here this is the supralateral surface. This is what you see is the medial surface, and this is the inferior surface. Okay, so supralateral surface, medial surface, and inferior surface. Okay, coming to the borders, what you see, this is the supromedial border. Okay, so what you see, this actually is the infromedial border divided into two. Okay, so by the stem of the lateral sulcus, this is the orbital surface, and this is the occipital border. Orbital border and occipital border. So this whole thing is a infromedial. Okay, some books says as they say as a 5 borders, but with this, for convenient purpose, we divide this infromedial into orbital and occipital. Okay, and this what you see is this the infrolateral border. Okay, so even some books they say that this is called as a superciliary border. Okay, so this is the, again I will repeat, suprolateral surface. Okay, separated from the medial surface by the supromedial border, and this is separated from the inferior surface by the infrolateral border. Okay, and medial surface is separated from the inferior surface by the infromedial border. Okay, so this is the infrolateral, again it is the superciliary border. This is called the infrolateral, and this is the orbital border, and this is the occipital border. Okay, now see what are the sulci in the supralateral surface. Okay, the first thing to so students, here what you see is how it is divided into lobes. Okay, you have 5 lobes. One is the frontal, parietal, occipital, temporal, and the insular lobe. Okay, so how will you identify each lobe? Okay, so here what you see, there is one important. So here the surface of the brain is not smooth. You can see there is a depression and elevations. Elevations is called a gyri, depressions is called a sulcus. Okay, so one important sulcus what you see here, this is called a central sulcus. Okay, so in front of this what you see, this is the frontal lobe. Okay, so here posterior to that, okay, here you can see there is an occipital notch. Okay, so here there is an occipital notch, and here there is a parietal occipital sulcus. So you draw imaginary line here from the occipital notch to the parieto-occipital sulcus. Okay, so in front of this and posterior to the central sulcus. Okay, and there is an imaginary line from the lateral sulcus to the this imaginary line cutting this. So this is the parietal lobe. Okay, posterior to this imaginary line from the occipital notch to the parieto-occipital sulcus is the occipital lobe. Okay, and below this lateral sulcus, what you see here, this is the lateral sulcus. Below this is the temporal lobe. Okay, and 3 poles, this is the frontal pole, this is the temporal pole, and this is the occipital pole. Another lobe, that is the insular lobe. What you see, once you retract this stem of the lateral sulcus, what you see, this is the insular lobe. We are going to see the important sulci and gyri now. So this is the supralateral surface. Here the foremost important sulci is the central sulcus. Okay, so what you can see, this where I am moving my needle, you can see this is the central sulcus where it is cutting the supromedial border. Okay, so where it is here, can you see, it is cutting the supromedial border. So this is the central sulcus. Okay, in front of this what you see is the precentral sulcus. Posteriorly what you see is the postcentral sulcus. Okay, so in front of the central sulcus what you see, this is the precentral gyrus, and this is the postcentral gyrus. Okay, so where the central sulcus is cutting here, you can see this area is called as a paracentral lobule. Okay, this is the paracentral lobule. Okay, now another important sulci what you see in the supralateral surface is the lateral sulcus. Okay, so the lateral sulcus has a stem and the ramus. You can see in this, the stem starts from the anterior perforated substance. You can see this is the anterior perforated substance. From here what it starts, here comes is the stem of the lateral sulcus. Okay, so this is called as a, here this called as a Sylvian point. Okay, here it divides into three. One is the anterior horizontal, anterior ascending and posterior. Okay, I repeat, this is the stem of the lateral sulcus from the anterior perforated substance. Okay, and this is the stem. This is called as a Sylvian point. Okay, so here it divides into anterior horizontal, anterior ascending and posterior. Okay, so this is the lateral sulcus where it is coming and turning here. Okay, this is the lateral sulcus where it turns upside here. So this is the lateral sulcus. Okay, and in the here you can see in the temporal lobe, you can see the two horizontal sulcus. Okay, this is the superior temporal sulcus and this is the inferior temporal sulcus. Divide this into superior, middle and inferior temporal gyrus. Okay, so now let us see how it is divided this into lobes. Okay. So this, what I said, is the precentral sulcus. Okay, this is the frontal lobe. So here you can see there is a two sulcus. Okay, horizontal sulcus. Okay, superior and inferior frontal sulcus. Dividing this into superior, middle and inferior frontal gyrus. Okay, now coming to the occipital. Okay, here what you can see, there is a one sulcus here. You can see the horizontal. This is called as the posterior occipital sulcus, and you can see there is a C shape. This is called as the lunate sulcus. Okay, there's a one small sulcus cutting this. This is called as the posterior calcarean sulcus. Okay, so this is a posterior occipital, lunate and posterior occipital lobe. What you can see, this is the lateral occipital sulcus where it is cutting. You can see there is a C-shaped sulcus called as a lunate sulcus. Okay, and you can see there is another small one here. Okay, this is called as a post calcarean sulcus. Okay, so you have, this is the lateral occipital, lunate and post calcarean sulcus, and this is in the occipital lobe. So we finished seeing the sulci and gyri in the supralateral surface. Now let us see what is there in the medial surface. Okay, so this medial surface, now what you see is you can see the band, C-shaped band. This is called as a corpus callosum. Okay, so corpus callosum, here the anteriorly what is called as a rostrum. This is the bent portion is called as a genu. This is the body and this is the splenium. Okay, so here what you see, there is a thin sheet of membrane. This is called as a septum pellucidum, separating the two lateral ventricles. This is the septum pellucidum. What you see here below, this is called as a fornix. Okay, now let us see what are the important sulci and gyri. So what you see here, okay, so where it is cutting the supromedial border, you can see here, this is the parieto-occipital sulcus. Okay, this is the parieto-occipital sulcus. Okay, what I said in front of this is the parietal lobe, isn't it? I showed you in the supralateral surface. So this is the parieto-occipital sulcus. Okay, so here one more joining here, this is called as the calcarine sulcus. You can see this is the calcarine sulcus. So the triangular area between the calcarine sulcus and parieto-occipital sulcus, this is called as a cuneus. In front of this, what you see is called as a precuneus. Okay, and above this corpus callosum, what you see, this is called as a callosal sulcus. Okay, and above that you see there is one more important sulci is called as a sulci is a cingulate sulcus. You can see it is coming here and again cutting here, going to the medial supromedial border. So this is the cingulate sulcus. Between this callosal sulcus and the cingulate sulcus, what you see, this is the cingulate gyrus. Okay, so here what you see, this is the paracentral lobule. So this is the precuneus and this is the cuneus. Just above this splenium, what you call it as a suprasplenial sulcus. This is the suprasplenial sulcus. Okay, and another two more important one, what you see here, the front, the small elevation, the gyri, this is called as a paraterminal gyrus, and this is the para-olfactory gyrus. The terminal is because there is a lamina terminalis. In front of that, what you see, the paraterminal gyrus, and this is the para-olfactory gyrus. So this is what is the sulci. Again and repeat, you see this is the calcarine sulcus, parieto-occipital sulcus, callosal sulcus, cingulate sulcus, okay, suprasplenial sulcus. Gyri is, this is the cuneus, precuneus, cingulate gyrus, paraterminal gyrus and paraolfactory gyrus. Now we finished the sulci gyri in the supralateral, medial. Now let us see what are the gyrus in the inferior surface. Okay, in the front, can you see here the H-shaped. Okay, this is the H-shaped olfactory sulcus. You can see this is the two lines of a H and it's cutting here. So this is the H-shaped sulcus. What you see, you can see here the olfactory bulb with the olfactory nerve. Okay, and here the posteriorly what you see in the occipital part, there's an important sulci here. This is called as a collateral sulcus. Okay, this is the collateral sulcus. This is the one which forms the collateral eminence in the inferior horn of the lateral ventricle. Okay, so medial to this what you see is this is the parahippocampal gyrus. Okay, and here what you see is the occipital, horizontal occipital sulcus, but the important is the collateral sulcus. This is the parahippocampal gyrus. Okay, and here you can see here the hippocampus, the paw-shaped hippocampus. You can appreciate here, this is the hippocampus. Okay, and here this is the parahippocampal gyrus. You can appreciate the hippocampus, the paw-shaped. This is the, you can appreciate the hippocampus. I'll give you tips how to remember the sulcus. All sulcus which starts with C, you can see in the inferior surface is the collateral sulcus. Okay, and in the medial surface what you see is the calcarine sulcus, and you can see the callosal sulcus, cingulate sulcus, and the central sulcus.